Hey friends, Feliz Domingo, as we say here in Spain. Heath Home here, and welcome back to another Sunday Fun Day live stream. Today I'm going to be picking up where I left off in last week's stream. I'm going to be continuing to arrange the track I've been working on, focusing today on structure, transitions, break building, tension, and release. I'll explain what I'm doing along the way, so whether you're completely new to music production and Ableton Live, or you're a seasoned pro, I'm sure there will be some key takeaways for everyone in today's stream. In the end, the goal is to inspire you to boot up Ableton and go and make some music. So feel free to drop any questions you might have in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer them. And so without further ado, let's dive in and see what we're looking at and working on today. So if you are joining this stream today for the first time, let's say, the music that I'm working on here, if we were counting parts, it's actually part 4 of a series of videos that began with a new music idea from scratch, and then it evolved into last week's live stream where I showed a new, let's not say it's a new technique, but it's a new one for the channel, where I arranged live the track with a MIDI controller. So not copy and pasting. The way we got all the material here into the arrangement view was via a MIDI controller, triggering all our clips and recording it out with a real sort of performance DJ live kind of feel to it. What I'm doing now is working on, as I said, where I got up to last week, continuing to then refine that arrangement, edit it, and go over and turn it into the goal really for this track, which is a nice kind of club focus kind of track that would be something a DJ would like to play. That's kind of the goal I have in mind. So let's have a quick refresher. Let's go back a little bit to have a listen to what we've got and where we're at. So if we look at the top here, we've got a loop that's kind of looping the area of the track that I sort of managed to kind of refine by the time we got to the end of last week's stream. This area here is the main break. We're going to probably be kind of getting stuck in here in a moment, but let's have a listen to sort of what happens a little bit before that, and then we're going to pick up our tools and start working in here. And so therefore probably we'll be looking straight off the bat at break building, which when I listen to a lot of music that I get from students and people I work with, something that a lot of people find quite difficult to do, and it's an important skill to master, particularly if you are doing club tracks and tracks for DJs. We want, as the title of, or the thumbnail, let's say, tension release. We're storytelling here. We need to build some of that. So let's have a quick refresher of what we've got here. We'll start it from this little mini drop over here, and let's have a playthrough. Right, so that's a quick little refresher there of what we've got so far, and kind of taking us from sort of midway through where we were last week. I will put somewhere up here a link to that video. So as I said, if you are new here today, you can go back and check out that video of how we arrived to here. And I'll also make sure to put these, as I said, this is technically part 4, these videos into a playlist, and then you can really go right from the very beginning to how we got to here. So kind of interesting here, we've got almost a bit of a pre-drop where this kick comes out, and then we're into this area of, let's say, the main drop or chorus kind of section where we're sort of stripping things back before we build it up again. So I think what's kind of interesting here is for the first bit of the break building at the moment, when we arrive at the end of this pre-drop, which is kind of here, I put a marker. So for me personally, when I'm thinking about break building and things like that, at the moment when we arrive to that marker there from the pre-drop, for me personally, there's too much energy removed. It's kind of a bit abrupt. It's not very flowing into this area of the drop. It's kind of just very quickly going from this energy to this energy. For me personally, I think it's too much. So I'd like to kind of connect what was happening before where we are now with where we are now. So if that makes sense. So again, it's, you know, something I see a lot with other people's tracks. If you have a very abrupt, you know, dropping of a lot of parts of the track at the beginning of the break like this, you really have to sell it to me, the listener, that they don't feel like they've suddenly just stepped off the edge of a cliff. It's sort of like you have to make that feeling or that transition, which is something we're doing here today, kind of makes sense so that it kind of like flows. But we are trying to remove energy here, but we want to keep sort of a little bit of feeling. So if we loop it just in front of there, we can then experiment around a little bit with what stays and what doesn't stay. So at the moment the shaker's playing through there. I did create this little tom section here with some kind of change where I've just taken away some of the toms, so I've stripped it down a little bit. What happens if we bring the breaks through here? So that would be one choice. That could, let's have the shakers back. Could even just work with just the breaks in there. Let's try something else. Let's say the shakers, and we'll have the bass line carry over here. Okay, so we need to do something with the bass line, as during the recording last week, the automation has been activated there to take it out, which is okay. So we just can drag that across a little bit and decide if we want to keep that, but now we're revealing the bass line again. By the way, if you are here in the stream with me already today, welcome. Do drop a hi in the chat. Let us know how you're doing, where you're listening from. Also mic levels, music levels, if anyone's out there and can just give me a thumbs up on that, that would be amazing. Right. You see that bass to me is quite nice. It's very subtle. So I might also look at what the automation here is on the filter. So we've got an auto filter which is sweeping down a bit of a high cut. So let's even have a look at the amount of that. So let's bring up the filter and let's bring up the frequency so we can have a look. So it opened up to that point. Currently, again, it's turned off here. So what we can do is open that up, and let's say we open it up to more or less the middle of the break here, as we can use this I really like the bass doing that role, and I'm thinking to take the bass then pretty much all the way, almost to halfway of this main break. So somewhere around about here for the moment, right? And because that filter's already there and we're automating it, this would be a great opportunity to do what I would have done anyway, which is, I've revealed the bass now into the break, but I'm going to eventually fade it away. And so I can use that filter, play around a bit with this automation and kind of achieve that with the filter that's already there, which is great. So kind of enjoying the bass coming into here. Let's have a listen now what this sounds like if we bring the bass in here and we slowly filter it away. It's interesting, but I actually think I would bring it out a little bit earlier. So I'm going to bring my filter across like this, and I'm going to sweep it away a little bit sooner. Yeah, so somewhere around there, so I can now pull the MIDI back, and I'm just kind of feeling that out with what else is going on in the track at the same time. So it's kind of listening out and feeling it again, like now that we're refining things, we're still kind of thinking about how does this feel if we're playing it out and what's going on in the rest of the track. And this is what it sounds like on its own, by the way. All right. So I think if I had this here as well, I could, but I'm kind of okay with the shaker carrying the energy of the percussion. And if I didn't use the shaker, I might have that. So there's always different options here, but I like this combination of the bass now, fading into there, and the shaker. So now we're stripping energy down, so let's have a look at the shaker here as well. So we've already technically pretty much got the bass out by that point. And let's have a look at the shaker. So the shaker, we've been using volume to kind of change what's going on in it, and that kind of happened from the recording that happened last week. So I automated the volume during the recording, but we could also use, again, a filter on this. And actually we have the frequency knob down here in the shaker instrument itself in the simpler. So I might just click on that, give it an automation lane, and play around a bit with using a high pass filter here as a way to take this shaker down as well. So again, we're trying to build some tension here. So what does this sound like? Nice. So if we kind of solo the shaker now and the bass, we can kind of hear what those two things are doing together. All right, so that's nice. It's kind of, I can really feel the tension in that. Just have a quick look at how many bars we've got here. So we're talking about 2, 3, 4. Excuse me while I do a bit of maths here. Yeah, so around that point there, I'm just going to pop another marker. So, you know, we've got an interesting, because of that pre-drop that happened over here, and the way I live recorded this, I've really found that some things are great here because we've got some sort of happy accidents where we haven't got like really obvious kind of 8 bars, 16 bars. Things are changing in a very organic way, and that kind of makes already this arrangement interesting because it's not copy and pasted, and we didn't just look at the grid and the time and bar counts and said this must do this. It's a lot with feeling, and that's what the difference is by working like this. If again you go back to check out last week's stream. But in this area, the halfway point is where I've put the 2. So let's say from here, so what I might do here is take away this volume automation of the shaker. I'm just going to bring that back up to 5 dB where it's kind of sitting in the track. And I'm going to use the filter that I brought in now to kind of control how that shaker disappears and reappears. So it's kind of disappearing here. Could even maybe try it completely out for a bit. And then my idea is to sort of bring it back, which is what I've also done at the top with a kick pattern up here. So we're kind of like doing a little pre-build here. So here's where the most energy goes away. So again, find the starting point of that. That's going to be the idea there. And what I might do, I might just bring this across and this across to that. And let's see what that sounds like. Right, so not bad for the connection of the start of the break now into the break. We've got some good little bit of tension and release going on with the bits we have inside the break here. So let's go from the pre-drop. So this little rebuild is quite nice, I think. And now we need to work on that last little bit. Also here with the bass, I did cut it early-ish. I'm just going to check again in here because I could perhaps do what I did with the shaker, and that's extend the bass a little bit further before it fades out. So I still like all of this, but maybe it could be here, and this could be moved across. So let's say we highlight that bit of the automation, bring that over, and then we're going to remove these breakpoints. Oop. Saw what happened there, that didn't quite copy where I wanted it. Let's try that again. That's better. So I'm just extending the bass a bit further so that the real just drop is in that section there for about, that's about 4 bars. Now, quite liked it before, but that just kind of, again, just a quick sort of decision there just to carry that a little bit further. You know what? I'm going to go back. There we go. Kind of prefer that. So we've got this kind of pocket here, and there's some automation going on. Yeah, I think that makes more sense. I either would take it all the way up to this rebuild, that is the bass and the shake, and fade them right down around here. But I kind of like this pocket here in this area, and now it rebuilds. So the thing we've got to look at now is the end of break, right? And I already kind of remember from last week that the end of break doesn't currently work very well. So let's have a listen to that. And then we need to figure out why it doesn't work very well. That is, like, what do we want kind of at this end of the breakdown? We want, with our tension and release, we've kind of chose this little rebuild, which I really quite like doing sometimes, because it kind of teases the listener or the dance floor. They feel like they know exactly when it's going to drop, but actually you're just building it up a little bit and then you're going to take it away again. But what I can kind of tell you straight away right now is there's not enough removal at this end of break. So we're going to end up with down here all of these instruments and things that are playing through, particularly this area, like here. It's going to not have enough tension and release. It's just going to feel like a playthrough. And if it feels like it's just keeping on going, it's going to not have much of a drop or impact there. So let's have a listen to that. Right, it's quite weak at the moment, so we need to fix that, and we need to have a look at a few things from top to bottom. So let's say we maybe start with pulling the kicks back earlier that I brought in the rebuild, and maybe they can even come in here, but not all the way to the end. Okay, so let's try this. So we make our own little fill here. Probably can even remove that one. Happy with that? Now let's get down here into these instruments and the vox, the vocals. Let's say we're taking a whole pile of the meld away. Split the vocal. And that means we can kind of get a little fade in here. And we could kind of decide here, a little bit like at the start of the break, what lives in this area? What do we want to live in this area? You know, is it the meld and not the acid synths, or is it the other way around? So again, we can kind of take all of this out. Let's just have a look. I feel like what is playing in here. Yeah, I'm just going to check the track on-offs in the automation a little bit, so we make sure that it's coming in and out where we want it to be. Okay, that's fine. What's happening with the acid synth? Right, what's nice is that kind of sound that's happening in the background. It's good to establish what it is. It's coming from the automation. And it's the automation of the macro that was the chorus macro, I believe, which is 6. So let's have a look at that. Map 8, macro 6. Okay, so maybe not. Let's have a look. So that's 2, it's just the high pass filter. 3 is the resonance filter. 4 is the delay. So that's definitely in here. So let's say we make a couple of breakpoints here. So we change this automation slightly. Right, so I'm just turning down the delay automation that I recorded when I was doing my live performance, just making that a little bit less busy here. And what we might do to make our life easier is just put some of these down here so we can kind of see them, so we know that that is the delay, macro 4. Spectral is macro 5, which is also having a fair bit to say here in this area of what's playing through here. So let's also have that in there. And what else is sort of playing through here? Reverb fade out, I think mainly maybe the reverb. So sorry to keep talking about last week's live stream, but I did mention also that unfortunately these macros, this Map 8 device is great. I've named the macros, but unfortunately the naming of the macros doesn't appear in the automation, sadly. Perhaps in the future that will be the case, but there are new ways we can do this anyway. I was using a fairly familiar device. So I think mainly 5 and 4, probably the main characters in here to maybe play around with a bit. So now I'm going to try 5. Yeah. So between those two, I can kind of change what we're hearing here in this final bit. Let's try the delay back as it was, and I'll just use the spectral, should I say. Okay, getting somewhere. Okay, so I like the last note of the meld where it is. We've removed a lot of energy from there, which is great. Let's go back a bit and hear what it sounds like where I took away the acid synth here. We haven't really heard what that sounds like where it's been removed. Might be a bit too much. It's not so noticeable. What is noticeable is where the spectral macro is playing through here. It's missing percussion or something that's making the notes. Yeah, so whatever I've taken away, it's kind of removed a bit the pattern that was previously in here. And it's the kick up the top here. So if we actually reveal all these notes, you will hear kind of what I'm talking about, what happens in here. Yeah, so that follows the pattern. So we might just take out the last little bit here, just so we keep this rhythm here. Nice. So nearly there. Maybe I will automate that delay slightly as well, just to bring it slightly down. But this, adjustment of the macro 8.5, which is a spectral analyzer, a spectral resonator. It's this guy here that's being automated effectively. So it's kind of adjusting a little bit what the automation of that was. And again, that was all recorded by hand in the original performance, and now we're just refining it a bit. Similarly, the delay, it's exactly the same thing. Where I put it in, how it's triggered, it was all done in the recording. So maybe right. So now we've got kind of proper control over the delay, and we can decide how much of it we want to just drift into this little bit of space here. Yep, just a tiny bit of it now. All right, so now let's look at the other side of the drop. So what have we got that's going on that's kind of stopping the filter from, the kick from coming back in hard? So the kick is on or off at this point. Off. So we need to fix that. So we need to open that back up. Doesn't need the breakpoint there. So now we should hear a kick come in hard. Okay, perfect. So on this side of the break, the spectral analyzer should probably be down to 0. Should have gone into position 0. And I'll do the same with the delay. Pop that down to 0. Believe either of them need to be here. Let's listen to what that sounds like now. So now we can adjust this to join these dots up a little bit. So maybe the vocal can come back a little bit more in this space. Let's try one note of the meld again. No, I'm going to keep that out. So I kind of feel like it could drop a little bit before. So we could try, say, taking that area out. Let's hear what that sounds like. So if we pop up to our menu up here and do cut time and stitch those two together. Right, that's kind of how the end of the drop should be. We might sort of make it hit exactly on the right point at some point, like move all this over and kind of extend perhaps the start of the bar, just so this would be back on 153 here, where it was, but that now makes sense sonically. And maybe it could stay like that. Again, it's kind of unique because it just comes in a beat before. Could be interesting to leave it like that. And also what we could do is kind of actually pop everything back over like so, and then extend this into here a little bit. So going to stick with that for a moment. Might come back and have a little look at that in a little bit, but the end of break now is kind of what I was looking for before. So let's just come back. And we now have a way better drop than we did before. So again, might come back and have a little visit of that, but perhaps also just give it a little rest in that area for a moment, carry on here, and we can come back and have, as I said, a look at that in a little bit if feel it needs a bit of adjusting. Let's have a check, just looking down at what's going on in the different tracks and make sure that our automation is making sense. So the kick drum, the speaker on is fine. The bass is also on, and it doesn't come in till that point there, which probably is fine, as we actually were not noticing that it was out there, which is a good thing. So I think we can probably live with that, starting back on the 1 of that bar count, which is great. The tom, let's have a look at that. So mixer delay is being automated. We didn't need that there. And it's got no automation of the device on or off, so it's in. The brakes, it's happening down here. So we have an auto filter that we can use. It's currently off at this point, which is perfect, so we might use that in the future, but there's no track being removed in and out automation. Here we have both the volume automation and the filter automation, and that's fine. Again, all working as planned. Open hi-hat. Now this is debatable as to where it comes in. I don't think it needs to come in at the start of the break, which would mean that would need to be here. Let's have a listen to it if we go for that choice. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking no for now, and maybe bringing it in later as another little bit of action before we get to the outro. So yeah, so I might bring it back in here somewhere. I'm going to look at that in a moment. We will check that out. Let's now have a look at what's going on in the acid synth as it's reappearing here. Let's come down to the vocal. Let's maybe try it out when the break comes back in. See what that sounds like. Yep, I think also the vocal can be out here. We're getting a break from that. What about the meld? Yeah, I think the meld does need to be there. I think we'll do again some repetition of what we got going down here, which is some nice automation of the meld. So just for 1 second here, you just get this so that it makes a little bit of sense, I think. That's fine. This one we'll leave alone. Vocals we can leave alone, all of that. Okay. Just a little bit of housekeeping because I think got a little bit mixed up, and I still want to try and connect this to the end of the break, but so everything's kind of lining up as it would do is the idea here. All right, so it's just a little bit of extra housekeeping here, but I'll get it in a moment and then we can crack on. So yeah, that can be right down to as it was there. Just going to avoid a little bit of confusion as to what's going on with things coming in on the beat and not coming in on the beat. So yeah, this should make it visually a little bit easier to understand. Otherwise, it's looking a little bit confusing. All right, so now kind of happy with pretty much all of that. Meld does do its own thing, so does the acid synth, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. So again, I just need to join what I had before back up. Nearly. So it needs to finish on that word. Right. And also, it kind of might feel like I've doubled up a little bit on what I'm doing, but apologies if that is the case. But in the end, sometimes we change our mind here, and yeah, as we say in Spanish, SOS. So I kind of feel like, yeah, what I did do there was okay, but I wanted to connect it up a little bit better, and so it's a little less confusing. So now we've got something a little bit original in that area there, connecting the end of break. The main thing was to get the energy out of there. That's definitely happened. As I said, we'll revisit that in a little bit. I'm also thinking maybe to do a snare roll in here, perhaps go even that level of energy in this end of break, or in the breakdown. We could have a snare roll building up and then coming away. But I think end of break is pretty much close to it now. It's got the right amount of energy coming out. So, yep. So I'm happy with that kind of first section there after the break. In this area here, we've got a new transition where I open up the open hi-hat, which I think is nice. Let's take out a few kicks here just to give this a little bit of impact. Highlight the phrase. The more kicks we take away, the more you feel that transition, right? All right, so let's have a quick look what's going on here visually. Zoom out slightly. So we're kind of working on this transition here. Since the break, kick came back in, the bass came back in, the toms are in, the break beat is in, the open hi-hat came in halfway through, the shakers are going along, the acid synth is in, the vocal I took away, I think that works well, and the meld is in one of its main patterns that we've been playing all the way so far. So we also have different patterns with the tom, different bass line patterns. So we're currently actually in this color. So these should be marked the same. Wrong clip. Let me try that again. So this one should be here and likewise there. So it just means that if we put this in, then we're going to get a change. And similarly with the tom, we're actually in the second one at the moment. So these are variations, and we could revisit again the original tom drum, which I definitely want to do at some point. So we've kind of come back in. What we should find is that the energy here, so that energy should be pretty close here. We're kind of matching those. Let's just, we can say that that's not there until here. So we're going to have a little build where this open hi-hat comes in. And let's say we copy this little kick transition again here. And into this area, I want to make like a little bit of a bridge sort of section. So in this area here, I want to remove the kick drum. So let's have a look at that. We might use, again, our alternative kick pattern, which is this number 2 over here with this color. By the way, hello, if you're joining the stream, if you're with me here now, hope you're finding this beneficial. We're going over and refining a recording of a track idea that was live performed into the arrangement view of Ableton Live, and we're now kind of refining that arrangement, making a few tweaks, getting it all to sit right, doing a bit of break building. At the moment we're going to go over some transitions as well. Perhaps I'll add a snare roll. I spoke about that a moment ago. If you are here, say hello, drop us a hello in the chat, let us know how you're doing, all that kind of thing. And of course, if you are here, let me know if there's any issues with the microphone and music, but hopefully not. I also take the bass line out here for a moment. So let's have a look at our meld here, as this is a slightly different meld, and we want to give that from its start point a playthrough. And what are the differences in these variations? Well, we can find out in a little bit. I definitely remember when I composed this that in this darker blue colored meld, it's just a simple case that the notes have been moved rhythmically. So if you look at where the timing of this first note comes in and then the timing in the second phrase, so it's 4 bars and then another 4 bars. In these 4 bars, there's a little bit of a timing difference, so that catches our ear, little things like that. That's how we make kind of interesting variations. So I'd quite like to get out here either the breakbeat or the shaker, or both. Let's try the open hi-hat through here. Quite like that combination, and I think what I'd probably do here is try and bring back the vocal maybe during this. I'm going to have a bit of a play around here. There's also 2 vocal clips, so at some point here we can come back to that, which I believe we do anyway. So let's have that. Let's have a look on the vocal. Do we have any automation at the moment of filters or anything like that? We do not, but could perhaps do that. So let's say we kind of play around with that a little bit. So let's have a auto filter from Ableton on the Vox track, and let's automate its on-off button so we know exactly where it's going to come in. Okay, there we are up here. That lane. So it's going to come on there. It's going to have been off previously. For now, we'll switch it off there, but we may adjust that. And then we could actually try a low cut here. I'll have a listen to that. We also want to grab the frequency knob of the filter. So for something different, going the opposite direction with the filter, kind of thinning the vocal out by sweeping up the low end. And then I want to open that up as we sort of work our way along a bit here. So this little mini break. All right, okay, something like that. Let's have a look at the brakes. Definitely could do with filtering out some energy a bit on this, on the brakes at the very end of this. So again, we get a little bit of a decent sort of drop here. Right, again, just washing out the energy here. The voice is sort of coming back up. The acid synth is playing through here. Let's just do a bit of a check here what's going on with our automation. That's fine. So I think we'll get a nice little drop here coming out of this little mini bridge type break. And now we can work our way into the outro. So I think I'll take out the breakbeat here. Okay, so what are we going to bring back in here? I think we can have the shaker back in. So we need to visit the automation there, have a look. Okay, so what are we taking out here? Just have a quick look here. Okay, so the frequency of the filter is right down at the bottom. So these are the sort of things to investigate. Also, it's a good idea when you automate lots of these things to also make sure that you automate the device on or off, for example. So in this case, we've got the frequency amount right down, which is meaning that it's practically kind of silent. But if, you know, if I thought it was actually off, so, you know, housekeeping, good hygiene, probably should have automated that earlier on off. Let's have a look at what happens here as well actually then, because similarly, just making some adjustments a little bit early, just realizing that this wasn't kind of doing what I thought it was doing. A little bit not enough energy in here, listening to it back. So bringing the toms through there could be nice to help a little bit with that. Let's maybe try this filter coming in not straight away. So similarly to kind of where I started today, at the moment, I'm not really enjoying the sort of connection, even though this isn't a main break. It is, again, another little mini break. It's kind of a bridge section, and it's not really connecting correctly to what happens before it and what happens after it. The after the break end area, I think, is pretty close. But at the start, we're kind of dropping too much energy here. It's mainly the open hi-hat and the shaker, so we've kept the breaks. I've added the toms, but I think it would be a good idea here perhaps to carry either the open hi-hats or the shakers again into here, but we'll be looking to remove them if we're carrying them into here. So let's say they're in, and again, all these filters I've added, they're coming in handy as we can use those, and we can even go back and revisit something we've already done where we've kind of faded it out with automation previously, the open hi-hat in an earlier break, so we can kind of copy and paste that over and see if that's the answer here, to kind of get that feeling a little bit of not this energy from here to then down to here. We're kind of nicely wanting to sort of break that down a bit, build it up again, or break it all the way down, and then when the drop comes back in, we're building it back up. But at the moment, there wasn't, for my ears, a nice connection here. That's much better. Now just to refine the breaks a little bit, get them to match in automation. So I think what I will do with this is bring it back to starting there and really control these breakpoints from the start of this little area until the very end, so the filter's automated correctly. Getting there. There we go. Right, that's now working a lot better for me personally. So we've kind of refined that a little bit. And let's now have a listen to what happens when it comes back from that. And I was thinking to bring in the original bass here. So we probably will have a bass. And we'll probably have the original bass up towards the end of the break. The toms are here. Ah, that was one last thing I wanted to kind of copy in here. So I did bring the toms in for a while when I was searching for some energy there, but I think I'll have this kind of pattern I've already made where I kind of strip it back a bit, and we definitely won't have that last one there. We'll just have a few little tom fills. So let's have a look now just at some automation points. So make sure our speaker is doing what it's meant to be doing. Let's have a look at the frequency on the bass. So this is a bit strange here. You don't need that. So we want to take that away. And therefore we don't need that either. What we might do is use this towards the end over here to filter out the bass if we wish to do that, but we didn't want what it was just showing. And then the breakbeats are out. Maybe they come back, maybe they do not. The open hi-hat I think we're done with for this track. The meld is coming along. Does it rebuild back up to the original meld, or does it not at all? Does the vocal keep going? These are all sort of decisions now. So once we come out of the break, we've got this first section here, and then perhaps this looks good. We fade the vocal down and out here. Maybe the meld doesn't come back here. It's part of the outro. And let's see how this kind of starts to sound and feel.
Get out of this bar, then the hotel, then the city, then the country. Are you in or you out?
Pack my stuff.
Looking for like an accomplice. We'd have to first get out of this bar, then the hotel, then the city, then the country. Are you in or you out?
Let's have our little kick transition area copied. We'll have one of those here.
Get out of this bar, then the hotel, then the city, then the country. Are you in or you out?
Pack my stuff.
Looking for like an accomplice. We'd have to first get out of this bar, then the hotel.
I think it's good without the meld there as we're going towards our outro now. About this vocal, let's have a listen now. Put it in. So previously, looking back at the intro here, I kind of played around with the reverb and kind of automating that to kind of really push it into the background. Might have some of this again. We might use this in the outro here to really kind of push this vocal up and out for the end of the track. So it's kind of opening up the dry wet on the reverb. The mix volume was previously automated to kind of turn it down, but I think we can also do that as we added later a filter. Can also have the filter up again here and then off afterwards, and we can kind of use that in a similar way to what we've done before. So let's say we open it back out at the start when the voice comes in, and then we're going to bring that down. Where do we get down to? About 100 Hertz. So we're going to try filtering it away, something similar. Right.
Pack my stuff.
Looking for like an accomplice. We'd have to first get out of this bar, then the hotel.
Okay, so there's some automation there that we'll need to adjust. That's on again our effects track, and it's the macro number 8, which is the fade out. So originally, that's again part of the global recording. It's an interesting parameter. Right now with these sort of refinements, this original automation doesn't really fit, but we can probably make our own little bit of utilizing that and have something in this area here. which we'll check in a moment. And it's okay. I mean, that's the point with refining and performing it. I felt like doing something at that time. Now it doesn't sort of necessarily, fit what we've got going on. Well, then we adjust it. And that's still the point of, doing it and bringing it into here was a completely different exercise to thinking about it in a copy paste way. So there's always refinement either way, but I do kind of think this is, perhaps that was absolutely spot on and magic and we kind of roll with that, or we refine it, and in this case it needs a little refinement, so that's fine. So before we get there to this very, very final section, I definitely want, so my filter that I've got going on, or this shaker automation, I'm going to use that again to bring my shaker down. Not quite like that. Let's have that breakpoint back. Something like that. Copying and pasting a few figures from here, so we're sort of working our way across. We might not need this delay with the fade out, so let's just check that. Okay, so we might keep the bass going a little bit longer. Nice. So the fade out's now kind of in our hands here a little bit, and it kind of comes in okay. Let's just have a listen again here. I like this vocal the way it is, with the heavy reverb. So maybe the kicks come back a little bit earlier, pull them back a bit earlier. Yeah, it's kind of interesting at the end there. So again, now we might do a bit of a pass, kind of with the mental notepad and the notepad type concept, and have a little listen and see what we think about the general sort of changes that I've made today here, and overall if there's some other things that we need to kind of refine slightly. Just before we do that, I'm going to just again go through and just do a little bit of housekeeping, just make sure everything's kind of doing what it should be doing. So the speaker on the kick all looks fine. Can have it automated to be off somewhere here if we wish, but you know, again, you can kind of change this. That's something that comes from interacting with the track live, but if you do zeroing out of the clips, you're kind of doing the same thing, right? In this case, that is automation that's carried over from the live arrange. So happy that that's kind of, they're taken out where they don't need to be. So on this track, that is all fine. So again, we can give it its own little lane, pop it underneath if we need to revisit it for some reason. On the bass line, we've got a few things automated. So we've got speaker on again, you know, again, being fussy, but we can move it there. It can also be off here if we like. And let's make sure our filter's doing what it should be doing. So it's on there, and then it's off over here. So it's not playing any role there. It's doing its role here. That's absolutely fine. Let's give that its own track again. Couple of things with automation as well. Obviously, you can see you can make these little lanes, you can resize them, you can reorder them. Good idea, because anytime you show automation now, you can kind of reveal those things and make sure you understand what's going on in each track. So on the tom track, we've got the delay, the B return automated a few times, particularly in the breaks. Over here as well, we've got a few things going on, and we might actually, I remember these from last week. We've got a few transitional kind of cool little delay things there. So we might copy one of those and have that absolutely here. Let's make sure we paste it in the right place. Helps. That's the right spot. So just in there. And we might have one of those also. So we can zoom in a bit. So this is what I love about when you kind of create these little pieces. They can be reused in other parts. You kind of investigate, come up with these little elements, and then you can kind of, you know, find uses for them again. So I think that's all we've got going on here. Anything else? No, just the delay. So that tom track is fine. It's got its own lane. It's the mixer delay. Just in case we want to do anything with that. Let's check in the brakes. What have we got? We've got auto filter device on, which is down here. So we don't need that. And it's just coming on at this last bit here. Is that right? No, it's also on here. Great. So it's kind of in control, doing what it should be doing. If we need to tweak that, we can. That's good. Let's look at the shaker. Similar thing. We did start with a bit of volume. Again, that was kind of part of the recording. And then I've kind of added the instrument filter in here towards the end. And nothing else really. We're not missing anything here. So that's good. It also looks like it's happening in the places where I wanted it to be happening, so I'm happy with that. So again, sorry for this being a bit tedious, but housekeeping is important as well. Make sure that we can, in a moment, if we need to adjust anything quickly, we can. So this, in this case, we've got speaker on. So we did have some muting, kind of the way we've done it anyway. It's coming in where we want it and going out where we don't. And we've got filter frequency automated at times, which means, and we've used it internally in the rack, so there's no on-off button of an auto filter. That makes sense. So they're both in their lanes. Great. Let's have a look at the acid synth and the filter we've got. Only really using it at the intro of the track. Track is in all the time, pretty much. Didn't give a break from that, which is interesting. We could actually maybe, you know, take it out at some point. That could have been interesting, or could still be interesting. And we've also got the filter there if we want to use that for further automation. Okay, happy with that. Go way down to the vocal track. What have we got there? We've got a filter frequency that we've automated a bit towards the end of the track, something I added later on. We've got dry wet on a reverb that's on that track, and we've got a bit of volume automation early on in the track. Again, all in their own little lanes, all easily accessible if you want to make any further adjustments to that. And then finally, we've got the meld down here, and we've got the frequency of a filter in it that we've been automating a bit. We might again play with it here, but we took it out right here. So other than that, that's our only target. So that's great. We know where that is. And it's in the lane again, so we play around with it. Now this track's a bit tricky because, as I said, it's kind of where all the macros were. We've got macro 8, macro 5, macro 4, and macro 8, which I've just brought in. That's the fade out. So that one I probably won't want to adjust anymore. Macro 4 is the delay, and macro 5 is the echo. And if we wanted any of the other ones, could be interesting to check out the chorus, which would be 6. Let's say we add that down here. So I only really used it at the end of the break. If we zoom in there, is it kind of where we want it? Maybe not. So we might want to revisit that, or perhaps it is. It's kind of inside the breakdown, but it might make more sense over here. So that could be good to know. Look at that in a little bit. The reverb. So that would be 7. Right, that's got a lot of automation. So let's check that later as well. And we can, again, as I said, kind of reorder these so they can all be chromatic, 4, 5, 6, 7. And as I said, one day, hopefully my naming here would show up instead of 7, 8, 5, and 4. But yeah, that just is what it is, really. All right, cool. So that's the effects track. So now let's go through and have a little listen to what we've got. Have a little listen if there's some refinements that we want to make to what we've got and how the breaks, drops, and everything work. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to loop it up in sections. And I'm going to sort of check it off as we go. Let's put some markers as we go as well. So we're going to have marker 1 here, second section of the first 16 bars, also with a marker. Let's rename these. We'll number the other ones that are already taken, 1 and 2 in a moment. 2, so this will be 3, 4. Now we're getting somewhere. 5. And if we're counting in 8 bars, okay, this gives us a bit of a point to loop ourselves up as we go. And I always kind of think of these sections like this. This is the first 8 bars, then we've got the second section. And as you can see, there's some interesting things going on here later where we kind of don't come in exactly on those bar counts. And that's what's kind of made this arrangement kind of, in some ways, quite unique. The way it's flowing and sounding, it's very organic. And I kind of like that result. I think it's a positive, and that came from the live arrangement.
And a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday. And a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday. And
okay, so straight away, I'd kind of quite like something here. Add a little bit of, to say that that phrase has changed. Now, if we open up the automation, I haven't used this, so I might actually use, again, that little section that I've created. I might use it earlier. This gives me a little delay on the end of this tom.
a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday. And a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday. And
But what I'm also thinking is, let's have a look at this tom. Here it is down here in the simpler. Let's hit hot swap so we can find it in our sample library. Let's clear that, try that again. Okay, there we go. So what I want to do is pop an audio track just below here, and I'm going to drag in the audio tom, the same tom drum. There it is there. We can close that back up. And I'm going to reverse this. And I might use this as a little bit of a transitional piece in audio for something like that potentially. So let's have a little loop up here.
a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday. And a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday.
Yeah, maybe not the tom. Let's maybe try for something that could fit with this.
A couple of things.
Let's say clear.
My wife, forgetting my son's birthday, and a couple of things.
Still Command F, F1 shots.
And a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday, and a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday.
Could be one.
And a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday.
Let's also try maybe rim, the rim here.
A couple of things.
Search for a rim.
Forgetting my son's birthday, and a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday, and a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday, and a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday, and a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday, and a couple of things.
Let's have it low in volume.
Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday, and a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday, and
Nice, just a little reverse clap. And you know, reverse sounds are amazing for when you're kind of looking for little kind of transitions and things. They should be, in my opinion, in your playbook, that you should potentially, you know, yes, I've gone and got a new sound and added it to this track. You can look for things first in your project itself. You know, we could still try a kick drum or a shaker or an opener hi-hat, but in this case, I brought a new sound in, but I'm looking for kind of some sort of nice little reverse type transition here. Let's also automate the delay on this little clap.
taking a break from my wife, taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday, and
And then we'll just control that.
a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday, and a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday, and a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday, and a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday, and a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday, and a couple of things. Taking a break
Okay,
from
so
my wife,
before we do
forgetting my
that,
son's birthday.
let's just warp this so we can also pop it in a little loop.
Forgetting my son's birthday, and
Let's just
my
try to
wife,
also
forgetting my son's birthday, forgetting my son's birthday, forgetting my son's
repitched
birthday,
potentially.
forgetting my
I do
son's
like the
birthday,
pitch, but I'm just going to
forgetting my
try.
son's birthday, forgetting my son's birthday, forgetting my son's birthday, forgetting my son's birthday, forgetting my son's birthday.
Yeah, a little bit pitched down.
Birthday, break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday, and break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday, and a couple of things. Taking a break from a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday, and a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday.
So again, I've just created a theme. I'm going to reuse that theme about midway through here. So copy and paste my little reverse delayed clap, pitch down clap, just to give us a little bit of atmos in the middle here.
A couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday, and a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday, and a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday, and a couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday, and a couple of things.
Can also try one here, might be a bit too much, but we can try it.
Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's
Not there, sorry. Yeah.
A couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday.
Well, let's also have some fun with this shaker here. Let's kind of do something a little bit original with that. Let's say in this area here, just again, what we're doing, what the intention is here, just to kind of highlight this, we're kind of pointing our listener to, hey, this is about to happen, right? Pay attention. So we've got few signals here with the tom and its a little delay, and now this little reverse clap. But you know, we can even, the more we focus we put on it, the more you'll obviously be aware that, hey, something new is happening. Well, what is new happening here? Well, the kick for the first time comes in properly. So you know, we're kind of going to make it a bit more obvious that that's going to happen. So let's say we split a couple of the shakers here, and we kind of do it inside the instrument. We don't really have to split it, but yeah, I did. So we don't have to do that, but we're going to use automation. And let's say we go into the control panel. We're already at 2 semitones, is the pitch that I've pitched the shaker to overall, but let's make that an automationable line. And of course, we're coming into this area in 2. But at the very end here, let's go right down like about an octave or something. So maybe we'll stay till 2 till here. So listen.
A couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's
So we could make it more gradual, or only in a bar, or 2 bars.
Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday.
All right, or we can make that a bit longer.
Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday. A couple of things. Taking a break from my wife.
Let's try a meld note out.
A couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday.
Okay, better in.
A couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday. A couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday. A couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday. A couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday. A couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday.
Okay, so I've just added a new MIDI track, and maybe we can make this clap even a bit more inside of the project. So use it for a bit more than I've currently got it for. I added it for this kind of reverse part. So what are we looking at? 75 claps 03. So again, we should be able to access that. Let's have a look in the browser for that. So we want a Command F up here, and let's do 75, looking for this sample underscore clap. Okay, and it's the 3. There we go. So let's say for the moment we drop that into a simpler. And what I'm thinking is, so that we've got a bit more glue, we've got it already reversed now as this little effect, but maybe we create a new little drum fill with it as well, was what I was thinking. something a little bit original here. We've now got our own little clap fill, and again, by creating that part, it can get reused, right?
Couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday. And
So we've got our reverse one.
things.
Again, I'm going to reuse that in here for a little bit more transitional spice.
Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday. And couple of things. Taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday.
And now we've got this little piece that we could potentially try in some other places. Or so I'm just kind of putting these in where I feel they kind of make sense and making it perhaps a little bit random rather than always in the same location. Nice. Let's also try just one of these, the reverse ones, and we'll just hold down Shift on our keyboard. Let's try stretching it out. See if we can make it kind of in, if that makes a nice kind of, yeah. Really nice. And also with this clip, let's just say that we do a couple of these. So that's now a stretched one of these reverse claps that's kind of added this really nice interest, and we can sprinkle those around. We've got this little clap pattern going on that I've just sort of kind of quickly composed. Let's have a variation of it, and let's actually grab the notes in the other newer one and invert them. Let's have a listen to what that sounds like. So maybe we can keep the same pattern, but we try it pitched the opposite way. So let's move that out the way. It works. I think for now, what I would do is keep the same pitch, but just add a bit of delay or a bit more delay to it. So I believe I did already automate the delay return, or not, as the case may be. Let me just remind myself there. No, not on the clap, it was on the reverse. So on this clap here in the break, let's have some delay going to our return, and let's crank it up, see how it sounds. Something like that. Maybe even start it from the beginning. So now we've got that little theme that we can work with as well. This little reverse clap stretch is a real success. So let's have again a little bit of a reusing some elements here, themes as I call them. Just marking my way as we go along here, the 8 bars, the sections that I'm kind of listening out for. I've been copying a little bit of these new themes that I've developed here and there, just to, again, sometimes there's every sort of 4 bars or 8 bars, and other times there's not. It's just to kind of like use these as little transitional ideas, but where they are is definitely in front of phrases or in front of little kicks, drops that I've created just to add a little bit of that tension and release that we're looking for. Okay, let's have a look at the macro of the spectral, which is 5. So I think we can refine it here a bit again. So okay, so the open hi-hat, I'm going to make a bit of a change here. So it opens up fully there, whereas I think it should open up fully at the end of the pre-drop. And here it should be working its way towards coming out. So fading out a bit. Otherwise, again, it sounds a bit abrupt, and that's kind of what this refinement of the arrangement is more or less all about. A bit more refinement in here as well. Okay, so maybe we'll actually keep this theme longer. So what I'm doing is tweaking here the automation of macro 5, which is our spectral resonator. It's kind of adding this really nice tension, and I kind of brought out the breaks because they're very much connected to the feeling of, or the sound of what the resonator's providing here. Yeah, so they could carry all the way. Bit of fine tuning in here and there. Still think this could be a location where we could have a really big snare rolled kind of build. However, that spectral resonator automating what is in playing at this time, including now the breakbeat, adds this really nice kind of build in here. So if we come back a bit, just adjusting again a little bit. Nice, I think that break's really starting to get a nice refinement to it now. So let's carry on from sort of end of break. A little bit better. Let's bring these kicks back a bit further. So don't ever be shy to kind of, like, as I said, pull this area back. It can even sound really, really nice at the end of a break where you actually just have silence and any delay tails drift into that space or reverb. And you just kind of, you know, also low cutting everything there. So having a filter that you automate and cut all the low end away, even also the high or both. You can really build up a lot of tension and drama there. It depends a lot on the genre and track you're making, but you know, the more you pull away here, the harder it is going to, you know, the impact is going to be when it all comes back in. And in the end, with the sort of music that probably, if you're watching this, you're interested in making, you know, perhaps club tracks and tracks for DJs, it's kind of a real important thing about break building. So I'm just trying to, again, just make sure. When we drift into that space, we get rid of a lot of that energy. And if there's not enough energy when we come back out of here, we could bring the open hi-hat right from the beginning here. I know that I need to change an automation if we do that, so let's just listen to that. We can make a decision here. Let's certainly have more energy now with the open hi-hat coming in here. And that might be the better call, to be honest. And we can also, we do have a bit of automation here, but we can have that on the filter so that it's kind of gradually coming up. But I kind of liked it how it was actually. It's just got a very gentle slope up. Okay, just got to do a bit of renaming of some markers here. Renumbering, should we say. 19. Just quickly do that. It's not too confusing. Could be nice in here is to try a little bit of spectral analyzer, I will keep wanting to say analyzer, resonator, the effect. Just automated it in here. It adds a real original character to the breaks, which is why I sort of included it as an effect in this particular project, as it's not perhaps something people are using a lot as a FX for automation. Let's also maybe take on the reverb a bit. Cool. All right, so little tweaks there. Listening out again for the end of break, beginning of break. Did we connect everything up nicely? I think so. How does the end of the break hit? Just try and hear a little mute. Yeah, I think that's a little bit more successful there. Let's try another one of these. Alternatively, a little clap transition here. Let's try that like that, a bar earlier. what we could do actually, let's try this. Let's take just one of these single claps, have that here, and actually reverse it back the normal direction. Okay. Both directions. So that, let's check our automation of it. What's happening there? Yeah, that might be a bit of a reason for why it kind of sounds a little strange. Okay, let's tweak that a bit. Smooth that out a wee bit. Yeah, maybe. Also, just playing around here, gone down a bit of a rabbit hole, but just kind of making an original kind of little transition here at the end, using some of the things. I do really like this clap fill kind of before the end of the break, so a little bit of a bar just at the beginning of the bar, and then something happening afterwards. Again, this hasn't happened anywhere else. Something like that. It's kind of the idea. Right, can work on that a little bit, but it's getting there. I do like the kick and the clap feel. Maybe just something to do with the reverse part a little bit. So that definitely can do with one of these. Okay, so that works. So perhaps the answer back here actually is one of these here. we've got a really nice original ending there as well. So just got to pop in a couple of markers. There's 25, there's 26. So that's all my sort of 8-bar sections. 2 of those equal 16. That's the kind of track as it stands. Looking at the clock for today, that's for sure where I'm going to call this a full stop. This was a part 2 look at continuing the arrangement, break building, structures, transitions in Ableton Live. I will put a link at the end of the video here to the previous live stream where I live arranged this track from the session view into the arrangement. And then I got a fair way pretty much up to the start of the break last week with like refining and doing a few edits. And now today I've sort of gone back in, added a few of these little FX type parts, automation, tweak that, realign the clips a bit, and worked a bit of in those important areas at the beginning of and end of break, so break building. So whether you're a pro or a beginner, I hope you found this video useful, interesting, beneficial. You've learnt a few tips and tricks from it. Please watch on this card the video I'll put there. As I said, if you'd like to see more of how I go about arranging my tracks, I will pop a video here that I would suggest that you watch next, which is another video where in a live stream I took a track from the loop to the arrangement. As always, it's been a pleasure to be with you on this Sunday afternoon. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please join me again next Sunday for the next edition and live stream. Could well be going back to another new idea and starting there. But as always, if you do have any suggestions or thoughts or would like to see a particular video, we'll drop it down in the comments, and I do read the comments. And if I see something there, I can apply that thinking to another video in the coming weeks. Anyway, again, want to wish you a great Sunday. Have an awesome one, and I'll catch you in the next live stream. Heath Holmes signing out. Ciao for now. Bye.